When Albert Einstein came to America, he was escaping the Nazis. He found safety, for sure. But what he also found was maybe the biggest moral dilemma of his entire life. A choice that, well, it would haunt him till the day he died.
And that brings us to the big question, the one that really defined the rest of his life. How did a man who hated war, a lifelong pacifist, end up helping to create the single most destructive weapon in all of human history? It's a crazy story, and it all starts when his own groundbreaking ideas took on a terrifying new life of their own.
Okay, so to really get the weight of his decisions, you have to picture who this guy was. After that famous 1919 eclipse proved his theory of relativity, boom. Einstein wasn't just some brilliant scientist anymore. He became a global celebrity. I mean, probably the most famous intellectual on the entire planet.
And right at the center of all that fame was this little equation that looks so simple, right? E equals mc squared. But don't let that fool you. This thing was a theoretical bombshell. It basically said you could take a tiny, tiny bit of mass and turn it into a staggering amount of energy. It was like he'd found one of the universe's biggest secrets.
But here's the thing. That fame and his Jewish heritage, it painted a huge target on his back. He was a famous Jewish intellectual, a vocal pacifist. Basically, he was everything the rising Nazi party in Germany absolutely hated. He was a symbol they desperately wanted to just erase.
So in 1933, he had to get out. He fled. He shows up in America as a refugee, can you believe it, with a Nazi bounty on his head. He had to leave behind the very country that used to celebrate him. And yeah, he found a safe harbor here, but he was completely adrift.
So where does he land? A quiet little town in New Jersey, Princeton. He gets a position at the Institute for Advanced Study, which is great, right? He has total freedom to just think. But that freedom, it came at a price. It came with this deep, profound sense of being totally alone.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. Back in Berlin, he was at the center of the scientific universe, a cultural icon in this amazing, buzzing city. But in Princeton, he was just this guy, kind of out of place, struggling with English, and just haunted every single day by the horrible news he was hearing from Europe. He was safe, yeah, but he was completely cut off from everything he knew. And as if that professional isolation wasn't enough, his personal life was just falling apart. It was one tragedy after another. His wife, Elsa, died just a few years after they got here. His son, Edward, who was back in Switzerland, was institutionalized with schizophrenia, and Einstein would never see him again. His whole family was just shattered, scattered across the world. He was, in every sense of the word, alone.
So, as Einstein is dealing with all this personal loss, two huge new conflicts start brewing. One was this massive intellectual battle, really for the soul of physics itself. And the other? Well, the other was a terrifying discovery that was about to change the world forever.
You know, Einstein just could not get on board with the new kid on the block, quantum mechanics. This idea that the universe was fundamentally random, governed by chance and probability. It just felt wrong to him. He spent years arguing about it, trying to find some deeper, more predictable order to things. And in the process, he kind of became an outsider in the very field he'd helped create.
And then, 1938, a shockwave hits the scientific community, and it comes from Nazi Germany. Scientists there figure out how to split a uranium atom, nuclear fission, and all of a sudden, E equals mc squared isn't just some beautiful, elegant theory on a chalkboard anymore. No, now it's a practical recipe for a weapon of unimaginable power. And the worst part? His enemies had figured it out first.
You can just imagine the panic this caused, especially among the other refugee scientists in America. They knew exactly what this meant. They knew instantly they had to do something.
I mean, think about it. What if Hitler got an atomic bomb first? It's the ultimate nightmare scenario, right? A world where the Nazis have a weapon that could hold the entire planet hostage. For physicists like Leo Szilard, this wasn't just some abstract possibility. It was a very real, very immediate threat to existence itself.
So you have these brilliant scientists, Szilard, Wigner, Teller, and they know the danger. But they're also refugees. Who in the U.S. government is going to listen to them? They needed someone with serious credibility, a voice the president couldn't ignore, and really, there was only one person who fit that bill. So they got in a car and drove out to find Albert Einstein.
And this is what came out of that meeting. A letter. It was mostly written by Szilard, but Einstein read it, he understood the stakes, and he put his name on it. It warned President Roosevelt about, and I'm quoting here, extremely powerful bombs of a new type, and it pushed the U.S. to get its own research going. That signature, Einstein would later say it was the single biggest mistake he ever made.
So that letter? It was one of the key things that kicked off the Manhattan Project, America's massive, top-secret race to build the bomb. But here's the supreme irony. The man whose signature helped start the whole thing, he was shut out. Completely.
So why? Why shut out Einstein? Because the US government decided he was a security risk. Can you believe that? His lifelong pacifism, his socialist sympathies, the FBI had a file on him that was over 1,400 pages long. So while thousands of scientists were working around the clock in total secrecy, Einstein had no idea what was happening. He was kept completely in the dark.
And this timeline, it just shows you the tragic, unstoppable momentum of war. Just look at the dates. Hitler's gone in April, Germany surrenders in May. The whole original reason for building the bomb, the fear of a Nazi weapon, it's gone. It's over. But does the project stop? No. It just barrels forward. And not even 3 months later, the bomb is used.
J. Robert Oppenheimer, the guy in charge of the whole project, had this chilling reaction when he saw the first test explosion. He remembered a line from Hindu scripture, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The scientists knew exactly what they had done. They had unleashed something new and absolutely terrible on the world.
And what about Einstein? Back in Princeton, just living his quiet life. The news from Hiroshima must have hit him like a punch to the gut. That theoretical danger he had warned about years ago, it was no longer a theory. It was now a horrific, devastating reality.
When his secretary finally told him the news, his response was just 2 words: away. It's a German phrase. It just means deep, deep sorrow, despair. There was nothing else he could say. He was just absolutely devastated.
And this quote, it really says it all. Had I known that the Germans would not succeed in producing an atomic bomb, I would never have lifted a finger. He only acted because he was terrified of a greater evil. But in the end, he felt like he had helped cause a catastrophe. His goal was to stop a Nazi bomb, not to kick off a whole new age of terror.
So that heavy burden, it gave him a brand new mission for the rest of his life. He basically stopped talking about physics. Instead, he used his incredible fame to plead for humanity's survival. He campaigned relentlessly, warning everyone about the nuclear arms race he was so afraid he had helped begin.
And you know, his final warning is just as urgent today as it was back then. He saw that our technology had taken this giant leap forward, but our brains, our way of dealing with each other, hadn't caught up. Which really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Have we truly learned the lesson he spent his final years desperately trying to teach us?